When we had broke, we were talking about your travel and the travel of the Jeep after the shooting, correct?
Correct.
In terms of your movement, you told us that the Jeep had gone, I'm going to take this out of the shiny gloss. You told us the Jeep had gone on Phelps up to Cole, and you were here, and that's where you saw it turn on Waite?
Correct.
Were you able to kind of see across here to watch the Jeep?
Yeah, you can't see from this aerial view, but there's just like a fence, and there's nothing else there. It's just bushes. So you can see almost that whole street there on Waite from where I was sitting.
Which direction was your car facing? Towards Fry or away from Fry?
My nose was pointed towards Fry.
Okay. So you were able to see the Jeep then continue and turn down this street?
Correct.
After that, did you see the Jeep again?
I didn't.
Where did you go? What was your return route back to your house?
I did a U-turn there on Cole, and then I turned onto Waite, and I drove down Waite, and then back onto Phelps.
So sort of following the path of the Jeep as well until you got to Phelps?
Yeah, and then I just pulled into my driveway.
Okay.
And then I sat and waited for an officer.
Were you on with 911 during that whole time?
I was.
Shared defense. Exhibits 4, 9, 13, and 14. When you came back to your house, well, let me ask you, I want to ask you some distance. When you first arrived at your house and you saw that Jeep, you told us you'd never seen it before. Can you tell us approximately how far away you were from the back of that Jeep when you heard that gunshot?
Well, you could kind of see in that map. There's only two houses. I was at the end of the first house, and the driveway was on the end half of my house. So I was past the point of my house and moving towards that driveway. So I would probably say a few feet, 15 feet or 10 feet or something like that was the distance.
Do you recall ever saying maybe 20 or so feet?
I'm sure I could have. It was a long time ago.
I've shown the defendant exhibits 4, 9, 13, and 14, if I can have my paralegal approach with these exhibits. You can take a look at those and let me know if they depict Phelps Street and the house you rented, as well as some cones to represent different things in the street.
Yes,
Do you recognize all of those?
I do.
State will move to admit 4, 9, 13, and 14.
Any objection?
No objection.
4, 9, 13, and 14
13 and 14.
are admitted.
I'm going to start with 4. In this photograph, we see a police car down here. Is this your car here?
It is.
So is this the street that when you're turning down Phelps, you're talking about coming from this end?
Yes.
So you passed one house and your house is the second house.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's the white van that was parked there.
Okay. So we have another photo. Let me first kind of go here. In this photograph, is this your residence? And this is exhibit 9.
Yes.
Okay. And this is your driveway.
Correct. It's on the outside
And
edge.
so is this the area? Well, let me ask you, where was the Jeep parked?
You can see just the front of the white van's bumper there. It literally, the bumper of the Jeep was touching that van's bumper. It was just right on top of it. So the back of the Jeep would have been right where your pen point is right now.
Okay, so right at the edge of your driveway?
Correct.
I'm going to use 13 and then 14 to give us we'll go back and forth between them. So in 14 here, is this the white vehicle you were talking about?
Yes.
And this shaded area between the Jeep and the driveway is where you're discussing that the Jeep was parked?
Correct.
And then this is your driveway.
Yes.
The rear of the Jeep was facing you.
Correct. It was facing towards me.
We see two cones here. What do those depict in terms of the location of your vehicle?
The front of my vehicle would be that one that your pen's pointing at, and the back of my vehicle would be there. That's an estimate. Obviously, we were trying to recreate, but that's an estimate about where my car was when I heard the shot and my window shattered.
Okay. So at this point, when we were talking about slowing down, had you started to turn into the driveway yet?
No.
So you were still sort of straightforward?
Correct.
Okay. And so the distance that we're talking about is what we see here in 13 from this cone to the edge of your driveway here?
Correct.
Okay. So a little over the width of your driveway.
Yeah.
When you saw the rifle come out of the rear of that Jeep, can you describe for us what you say you saw on the end of it?
It was cylindrical, and it looked a little bigger than a normal. I mean, every muzzle at the end of those rifles has some kind of a sight or usually something on it that they use to when you're shooting. But this looked like it had something different on it. It was a little bigger, and that's why I said a suppressor or. I mean, I didn't get a long look at it, but it definitely stood out to me that it looked a little different. I think that's the part that I described was that it was noticeable.
Okay, so it was wider or bigger than the normal barrel itself?
Correct.
Okay. When the window shattered next to you, did anything come in to you that you recognized at that time?
No.
Did you understand at that point there wasn't a hole in your window?
Correct.
As you hear that bang and see your window shatter here, is that then when you accelerate this direction that we see down Exhibit 14?
Yes, that's exactly what I did.
Okay. And then when you got to the end of this street, which direction did you go?
I went right.
Okay. And then you headed straight up Cole and stopped at that park or whatever with the pool?
Yes.
As you are waiting in the driveway here in your car, did you get out of it? I know you said the door opened, but did you get out?
I didn't get out and look at my car. The door opened, the window fell down, and I think that I just kind of let the window fall there, and I might have moved like part of the window over, but I'm pretty sure I think that and I'd have to probably review, but I'm pretty sure they asked me to stay in my car till the police officer arrived. So I'm pretty sure I just stayed in the car and waited for the officer.
Okay. So before the officer arrived, did you look at your vehicle itself? I'm going to put up Exhibit 25 again.
The first time that I looked at the outside of the exterior of my vehicle was actually when the officer walked me over to my car. And both of us at the same time saw on the top of the door frame there's the spot where the bullet hit. And that was the first time that I knew for certain that I had kind of been shot at. And I remember Probably another feeling of shock again, kind of like the first time when someone shoots at you and it's loud, and I remember just thinking like, that's really close to where I was sitting, like it was inches from my head.
Shown the defendant Exhibit 26. Another legal approach. Brandon, do you recognize what that is a photograph of?
Yes,
What is that a photograph of?
that's the photograph of the top of my car.
That show the bullet hole that you saw?
It does, yes.
State will move to admit Exhibit 26.
Any objection?
No objection.
26 is admitted.
So we see here in Exhibit 26, is this the bullet hole?
That is.
Dumb question, was it there before?
No,
Was your window broken before this?
no,
And you were sitting right here.
correct. You can't see it as well, but that's, when you sit in that with the way I was sitting in the chair, my head would have been right at that level.
When you called 911, were you sort of telling them both sort of what had just happened as well as what was ongoing happening, what you're seeing with the Jeep?
Correct.
Did you make that, you told us, as you're immediately driving away from this shooting?
Yeah, I immediately thought the right thing to do was call 911.
Did you tell the operator at one point you were almost out of breath?
Yeah, when I remember when I first called, I'm not a doctor or anything, but I just remember I couldn't breathe. I was like feeling surprised. Maybe I don't think we have a word for that feeling.
Were you scared?
Yeah,
Do you have concern for your life at that point?
yes,
Were you trying to figure out what had just happened?
yes,
And I've shown the defendant Exhibit 125, the 911 call. If I could have paralegal play that, just have the witness identify himself in it.
Go ahead.
You can approach with the computer.
Yes.
Brandon, if you can just listen to that. Have you listened to your 911 call before?
I have, yeah.
You can listen
Yes.
to that and let us know if you recognize that as your 911 call and as your voice.
Yes, this is my 911 call.
Thank you. Your Honor, the state will move to admit Exhibit 125 pursuant to 8031, 8032, and 902.
No objection.
It's admitted.
And if we can publish that.
Go ahead.
Gee, I moved to a new home about a week ago.
What kind of vehicle is it that drove?
October 2nd, 2019. 9 hours, 14 minutes, 53 seconds.
911, where's your emergency?
Someone just shot my window.
Okay, where
they're in a
at?
Jeep. I'm in the Cooley Station neighborhood. I was pulling in my house at 38755 East. Away, but I can see them driving off.
Okay, someone shot at your vehicle?
Yeah, and it hit my window. It shattered my driver's side window.
Okay, when you pulled into his driveway?
As I was trying to pull into my driveway. Sorry,
Okay.
I'm a little off breath. They just drove off. I saw them drive off.
Okay. Do you know who these people are?
I have no idea. I moved into a new home about a week ago.
What kind of vehicle is it that drove away?
Jeep Wrangler, had a Texas plate on it. It was,
Jeep Wrangler?
It was olive green.
Olive green? Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on just a second. Texas license plate?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't get the plate. I'm sorry. I got a little nervous.
That's okay. That's all right. Oh, which way did they go? Do you remember?
They're driving south towards Pecos Road, between Pecos and Wrecker.
Okay. Okay. You don't see the vehicle anymore?
No, they left. They drove off.
Did you see how many people were in the Jeep? Sir?
Yeah.
Hello? Oh, did you see how many people were in the Jeep?
There must have been at least two because somebody shot at me and then somebody else drove off, and I don't think they had enough time to go climb from the back into the front.
Right. Okay. And then do you have any injuries? Did they shoot at you?
They shot at me, it hit my window, it bounced off. It might not have been a real gun. It was loud, but it might have been like a paintball gun or something. I mean, it should have hit me or gone through my window. It just shattered it. It didn't go through.
Okay. Okay. And your window is shattered?
Yeah,
Okay. And you have no idea who these people are?
no idea.
Okay.
They were just parked like right in front of my house.
Okay. They were parked out. So they were parked across the street in front of your house?
You know, in front, right on the same side of the street as my house, right in front. There's a minivan there. They're just parked right in front of that.
Okay.
I'm pulling into my house because they're gone.
Okay. Where are you at right now?
In my car.
Where are you at?
In my car at my house at 38
Okay.
East Phelps Street. I'm going to walk over here and see if I can see what they shot at me.
And what kind of car were you in?
I'm in a black Tesla Model X.
It's a black what?
Tesla Model X.
Okay, black Tesla Model X. Okay. Okay. All right. I do have officers on the way to meet you.
Okay.
Do you want to go inside or do you want to wait outside? Wherever you feel.
I'll wait out here. Yeah, I don't know that it was a real gun. Maybe it was. I can't tell. I
Okay.
don't think it was because my window we should have gone through my window.
Okay. All right. And what is your name?
My name's Brandon Boudreaux.
And your phone number? Okay. Okay. I'm going to stay on the line with you just to make sure you're safe, just in case they come back. Do you have any weapons on you?
No.
Okay. Okay. Do you see the officer pulling up?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Looks like he's coming up Phelps. You said 3875 East Phelps, correct?
Correct. I wonder if he's
Okay.
there's another section of it. He might be on the other section.
Okay, because, his car is showing right near Fisher Lane and Phelps Street.
I'm at, what is the cross street? Sorry, I just moved over here. Yeah, I'm at Fisher and Phelps. I don't see it.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. funny. His car was showing there for a second, and now it's showing back at Higley and Pecos, so that's kind of weird.
Wonder
I
if
don't
he saw
know.
the Jeep drive off or something.
Maybe. I know that there's actually an officer that's heading towards you, and then there's other officers that are dispatched that are looking for the car. So we've got several guys looking out for the car, but we have one headed towards your house.
Okay.
I think he accidentally hit his arrive button is what happened, because he's still moving. So just out of nowhere, did you see the guy that
I didn't see who it was. It was
Okay.
weird because I was pulling in and I saw a Jeep, Texas plate, and I thought, oh, that's weird. You know, my neighbor must have someone visiting, and then they like lifted up their little back window in their Jeep, and I saw like a muzzle, and then I heard a snap, and my window shattered. So I just, instead of turning into my driveway, I just hit the gas and drove off because I didn't know. And kind of when I got my bearings, I realized I should call 911.
Okay.
So then I drove, and then as I didn't drive very far. I just drove around the corner and waited for you guys to pick up, and then I kind of saw them come around the corner and go down the road and start driving down south towards Pecos and Brecker.
Okay. And did they look like Hispanic
And I knew that was the
males,
only way
white
out.
males?
I didn't see a person at all. I didn't get to see a
Okay.
person.
Okay.
I knew there was only one way out of Pecos Manor, and that's down there on Pecos Road. So that's why I told you that.
Okay. All right. I do see the officer pulling up on Fisher from Fairview.
Okay. So he's coming from the other way. He'll come around right now. I'll see him in just a sec.
Okay.
Yeah, I see him.
Okay. All right. I'll go ahead and let you go.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Bye-bye.
Bye.
October 2nd, 2019.
I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that you told the 911 operator. You mentioned in the call that you thought it might be a paintball gun because it should have gone through the window. When you were saying this, were you at all contemplating that there's no paint on your window?
No.
Were you sort of that frantic, you're just trying to come up with excuses or ways to explain what happened?
I was just trying to figure out why a bullet didn't come through the window. A bullet should always go through the window was what was going on in my mind. So I was trying to come up with a reason.
So you didn't know through this whole call that your car itself had been hit?
No.
We hear that you, when you got into the driveway, a loud crash.
Yes.
What was that?
When I put my car into park, when it automatically opened that door, and then the whole window just fell right there. And most of it kind of stayed together, like I think the window tint or something held a lot of it together, but also a lot of it didn't. And it was like all over inside my car and all over on the, a little bit on the driveway.
Okay. You also told them that you thought there might be two people. Why did you think that?
I was trying to figure out how someone could have been laying in the back shooting at you and gotten into the front and gotten out of there so quick. I was thinking like you'd have to jump over a chair. It seemed like they moved very quickly. So I think I was just trying to come up with a logical reason how they could have moved so fast.
We can have the Elmo again, please. Thank you. Putting Exhibit 1 back up here. So this is the residence that you were arriving back to, correct?
Correct.
And your car was facing this direction, west?
Correct.
And so the Jeep itself was also facing west?
Correct.
When you drove up to the pool, is that in this area off of Cole?
Yes.
And were you all the way up here before you saw the Jeep turn on to wait?
I was, yes.
So there was some time, actually, before the Jeep was able to follow and catch up with you.
Correct. I think in your mind, everything's happening so fast. I was just surprised by how quickly they were moving, but listening to it, for instance, you can hear that there was a lot more time that elapsed than what you thought in the moment.
So time when you were going through this stressful situation seemed faster to you, and now listening to the 911 call that you're talking while this was occurring, you can tell it's a little slower.
Yes.
Do you recall where you were when you were able to finally get your phone and start calling 911?
I was at the end there of Phelps Street, about to turn onto Cole and then I had to unlock my phone, so it took me a couple more seconds around the corner to get it.
Okay. So you were able to drive down Phelps, get into your phone, and get up to Cole and park there. And then you saw the Jeep also turn on Cole and then turn on wait? Mm-hmm. Is that yes?
Yes.
Did you ever see anyone
As in a
in
person?
the vehicle, in the Jeep?
I didn't see who was driving the Jeep.
When you saw the rear window go up, you couldn't see who was in the back?
I didn't get a look at a person, no.
And then when the Jeep turned, you're looking in your rearview mirror towards it?
Yes, and then because I noticed it, I turned my body and looked out across.
And so as the Jeep came up Cole and turned onto wait, you were not able to see who the driver was?
No.
In the 911 call, we hear the 911 operator refer to the officer as a he. Was the first officer on scene a male or female?
Female.
When the female arrived, you got off the call with 911?
I did, yes.
And did you speak with her and then walk her over to your car?
I did, yes.
And did she point out this bullet hole in your car?
She did, yes.
When you saw that, what happened physically to you?
I remember within a short amount of time, I asked her if I could sit down. I started getting a little bit overwhelmed because I realized that someone shot at me, was trying to kill me. If my head was that close, that's the only logical thing.
Before you saw that bullet hole, were you still sort of trying to explain how there's not a hole in your window?
Yes.
After you saw that bullet hole, did you start to think that someone had tried to kill you?
Yes. I remember I texted my father, told him that.
What did you text your father?
I said, I think someone just tried to kill me.
Were you thinking about how close you had come to death?
Yeah.
As you were experiencing all these emotions and trying to figure out how to handle this and texting your dad, did the police ask if there was anyone that could come stay with you?
Yeah, they did. And because I didn't have any family, I just said, I had my two business partners who were really good friends, and I asked if they could come.
Did you have to tell them where to come?
Yeah, they didn't have my address.
Did they come and stay with you?
They did.
Did you eventually move with them across the street to kind of hang out in the shade?
It was hot, so yes, we moved over to a cooler spot as the day went on.
And we see in Exhibit 9, is this actually you guys sitting over here?
That is.
At some point, did a detective come get you and interview you?
Yeah, Detective Pillar came over and got me.
Did he interview you?
Yes, he did.
Where did that interview take place?
We walked around that corner. He had his car parked and in a kind of a shady spot, and we did an interview in his car.
Was that recorded?
I believe so.
The first patrol officer on scene, that female officer, did she ask you if you could think of anyone who would want to harm you?
She might have. I don't recall. I'm not certain.
Okay. When you met with Detective Pillar, did he ask you if you knew anyone who would want to harm you?
Yes.
Do you remember a lot of your interaction with that first officer?
To be honest, like the part that I remember the most is just when I saw the bullet hole, and I think maybe just kind of got a little bit of shock because it was real when I called 911. But then I kept thinking to myself, a bullet didn't come through my window, and I just when I saw that, I just realized like, no, someone is 100% trying to kill me, and then it was kind of an emotional little bit, like I felt a little overwhelmed.
When you talked to Detective Pillar, was that a little bit later, but while you're still sitting here on the scene?
Yes.
Had you had time to kind of get yourself back under control?
Yes.
Do you remember that conversation more than your
Yes.
conversation with the first officer?
Yes, I do.
At that time, when you were asked by Detective Pillar if there was anyone you knew who might want to harm you, were you able to provide any names?
I told him the only person I could think of.
And who was that?
It was two people. It was Lori and Alex.
Is that Lori Vallow?
Lori Vallow and Alex Cox.
So the morning of October 2nd of 2019, you have already told Detective Pillar that's who you believed is the only person you could think of who would want to harm you.
Yes.
Had you met Detective Pillar before that morning?
No, didn't know him.
Did you tell the police to tell Detective Pillar that Lori Vallow and Alex Cox had been involved in an incident in July of 2019 in Chandler, Arizona?
I did.
Did you think that that incident had something to do with this?
I did.
You were asked by the police, or do you recall being asked by the police if you had any issues with money or anyone else?
I do.
And did you have anyone else that you could think of that would want to shoot at you?
I did not.
Did you tell the police about your wife Melanie's relationship with Lori Vallow?
I did.
You told us that the Jeep that you saw parked right next to your driveway that we see here in Exhibit 9 had a Texas license plate, correct?
Correct.
Did you tell the police that Lori Vallow had lived in Texas?
I did.
So during the time you had known her, you were aware that she and Charles Vallow had lived in Texas?
Correct.
Did it seem relevant to you that you see a Jeep with a Texas plate in front of your house?
It did.
So on October 2nd, when you were shot at, Melanie was living here in Arizona, correct?
Correct.
And she lived close to your house in Phelps? Within a couple miles?
Within a couple miles, yes.
And she was the only person who, outside those two neighbors and two friends, who knew this address?
Correct.
On October 2nd of 2019, did you know where Lori Vallow was living?
No, I did not.
And on October 2nd of 2019, did you know where Alex Cox was living?
No, I did not.
But in July of 2019, you knew they were living in Chandler, Arizona? Or
Yes, I did.
Lori Vallow was living there. Did you ever learn that Lori Vallow and Alex Cox moved to Rexburg, Idaho?
Yes, I did.
Did Melanie ever move out of Arizona?
Can you restate that?
Sure. Did Melanie, your wife, or maybe by then your ex-wife, ever move out of Arizona?
Yes, she did.
Do you recall when she moved out of Arizona?
The end of October 31st or November 1st, 2019.
And did you learn where she moved?
Next door to Lori
In
Idaho.
Rexburg, Idaho?
Yes.
The state has no other questions, Your Honor.